I am back again. I wanted to share some resources with you for the PESTLE analysis that is due by next Monday. That is August the 3rd. And to give you a little bit more guidance about that in case you're having any trouble, this is a topic that's not really covered well or at all in your textbook, but it is part of the course. And it's an important sort of mindset, really, not the tools specifically. There are other tools that you can use, and many of you may have used to assess the environment, but the concept of assessing the environment, of scanning the environment, is important for leaders because we have to anticipate what's going to change. Many of you in your discussion question responses, I think, have grasped hold of this concept very concretely, and that is that companies that fail to recognize impending change, leaders who fail to recognize impending change, are pretty much doomed to failure, or at least they're going to have a much harder time of it than those who are more active. So one of the skills you want to develop yourself is being able to scan the environment, to look around where you're at now or where you have been in the past, and say, what are the factors that might change? Because change leadership is, again, all about the fact that change happens all the time. It happens whether we want it to or not. Often we don't want it to happen, but one of the primary skills, one of the primary concepts that I hope that you'll become familiar with and accept as change leaders is that change is a fact of life. Change is going to happen, and those who can be most flexible, who can anticipate change the best, are most likely to succeed in the long run. If you buy into that philosophy, and I hope that you will come to buy into that philosophy, it gives you a natural edge as a leader. Not being upset by change, not living in the past, ready to move forward with the next step, because there's always a next step. There's no nirvana. There's no perfect organization. Well, one tool to do that is a PESTLE analysis, or what we used to just call a PEST analysis, but we've added more factors through the years, and that's what we ought to look at next. If you've done any research at all or gone to the links that I've provided in this announcement, then you'll know that those factors are political, economic, social, technological, that's T, environmental and legal. And environmental and legal are two categories that sort of are more recent additions as they've become more important. Particularly environmental has become more important to strategic company planning than it used to be. And by that we don't mean just environmental scanning. We don't just mean looking around and seeing what's out there. We mean the actual environment, the impact that we're going to have on the environment, concerns about ecology. Sometimes that second E, environment, is actually listed as ecology. And you will have noticed that this acronym changes over time. It used to be PEST. Depending on the factors you include, this is sometimes called a steeple analysis or a step analysis, which is just really another reworking of PEST, right, in this step. But these factors, let's talk about them for a moment so that maybe you will have an easier time developing them yourself. I'm not requiring a specific format for this. There's no form. I do want you to have it on an APA formatted document and with headers, and those headers need to be these same ones that we're talking about now. Political factors, the first P, or the P in PESTLE, the political factors. That would mean specifically government. How is government interacting with your company? And that can take the form of laws, although that would tend to be more legal if it's just regulation. If it's regulation, we're really talking about the legal aspect of a PESTLE analysis. But what about taxes or tariffs? These kind of things that are really made to regulate trade and change from time to time. There's no ethical level of tariff. It's all about controlling trade. So it's not the same as a law. Or labor law. Labor law is a good example of of the way that politics will change things. Any changes in government. We're coming up to another general election here for the president of the United States. Let's suppose we have a party change. Don't you think that will have an impact on the business environment for some businesses? Some businesses will feel more supported if we were to go to a Republican president again and a Republican-controlled Congress at the same time. There are going to be some businesses that feel more supported. There are going to be some businesses maybe that have relied on Democratic policies for support. They're going to be less supported. If you're in a business, you need to understand where you fall. Economic factors we're talking about macroeconomics here, gross national product, interest rates. Is the economy going to grow? Whether or not you think that you're in a growth market or a bear or a bull market is very important to the way you plan for the future as well. And that answer will be slightly different for different companies. Factors like inflation are going to stress companies more who sell products that will be where the demand will go down if inflation goes up. Discretionary spending. Social factors, and you can include demographics here. You'll see one of the sources I've included actually includes population demographics as the P and puts politics, all of politics down there under legal. If you want to do it that way, that's okay as long as you're consistent. But these social factors, let's apply it to the university that you attend. Mid-America Christian University, in the CAGS, in the continuing education for adults, the section that you and I are involved in, obviously we have a certain demographic, a typical kind of student like yourself, very likely. That is an adult student, someone who's already had some experience in the workforce, someone who's continuing their education, often going to work at the same time. This makes for very good students, as you all are, but it also means that that's a specific social factor, a social demography, a slice of the whole population that is either going to decline or increase. It's never going to stay the same. That's what you can count on. None of these factors will ever stay the same. If you're smart, you'll be looking ahead. Technological factors. Who is not impacted by technology? Look at the way we're going to clash right here. Look at the way I'm communicating with you. And that's not even counting extreme changes in technology. Do you think maybe this, an iPhone, do you think that maybe an iPhone impacted the way everybody does business? Of course it did, because it changed the way that we communicate. And we have more of those changes coming. In the particular company that you want to analyze, there will be, again, susceptibility to certain kinds of technological change that may be very dramatic in one sector, not so dramatic in another sector this time. Next time, with another type of technological change, much more dramatic factors. And then what we've added, legal and environmental. Legal has become so much more important in all company operation, because a few bad lawsuits can erase all that profitability, right, that you had from your operations. And so it's like investment, like money investment. Legal has become something that sometimes becomes more important in the short term than the actual operations of the company, because it can be more of a threat. So legal compliance is the big one. If you're not in compliance with laws about safety or about equality or about fairness, then you're running a terrible risk in your company, and that's a risk you need to continually assess about whether you feel like you're in a good place or not. And in environmental, specifically ecological, that is the impact on the environment. As that issue has become more prevalent in the minds of this generation and the next generation. It has assumed a legal stature that it previously didn't have, and it's assumed a stature with consumers that it didn't previously have. It's become a factor. Didn't used to be, frankly, but now it's become a factor that now you must assess if you want to continue to be successful in your business environment. Well, I hope the links and these short comments will help you sort of collect your thoughts. Again, you're going to be writing about a company that you know about, applying these factors, political, economic, social, technological, pest, environmental, legal. If you look at a briefly at each of those categories and apply them to the company that you know about, or that you used to know about, or again, as a last resort, a company that you research, then I think that you're going to do just fine. If you have any problems or any questions, of course, email me or call me. That's what I'm here for. Thanks for your time, and I will be talking with you again soon. Goodbye.